Hi. I want to talk a little bit about ADD. It's something that I have, and I struggle with it. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of an idea what ADD might look like. I want to talk a little bit on how professionals of this world, people involved with people like this, are helping children so they can bring their focus together and excel. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 11% of children in the United States are diagnosed with ADD, and another 20% of children with ADD are not diagnosed with it. So the chances are that you know somebody or will meet somebody that has this, and I just want to show you guys how people are helping this high percentage of people. I was diagnosed with ADD when I was 7, and my struggle through school and further interest in it has led me to study into it and see what others are doing, because when I was in school 15 years ago, there was no set ways that people were using to help, and I had to struggle through it. And so I wanted to look into it and see what people are doing now and what I can do to spread the word. I'm going to go into detail on 2 different ways that teachers and mentors are using to turn this negative into a positive. Because it can be a positive, the reason it can be a positive is because around 80% of children with ADD have the highest IQ of anybody in the classroom. The first thing I want to talk about is what some people call a positive narrative. The idea of this is to generate a positive attitude by saying things like, I like this part, but on this part that you're struggling with, have you tried this? Rather than saying comments like, you did this wrong and you need to redo it. Another way is to accompany thankfulness in the things that they do right, in the things that they do, by always looking at the things that they did right and praising them for that rather than the things that they do wrong. This positive narrative strategy works by inspiring confidence in the child and encouraging them to try harder and do more and become better than they ever thought that they could be. Another method was designed by Stuart Loomis. He's a retired NASA scientist and now an expert on mental health. He calls it in his handout, How We Can Help, a special interest project. This is a way that we can funnel the child's energy, lack of attention, into something that they enjoy, something that they have a special interest in. And in doing so, we can teach them a lot of things that may be completely and entirely unrelated to the subject. The special interest is something that is openly talked with the child and brought up what they have interest in. It can be something that they excel in or something that they just have special interest in, maybe singing, drawing, or even a simple object. I want to tell you one story of a specific 8-year-old girl and her clock. Her instructor began to talk to her about a special interest, and they were looking for a way to help her because she was struggling with ADD. She was diagnosed with it, and she was also, some of the stuff that she was struggling with was self-depreciation and the ability to work with others, and she was struggling very, very much so in her work, wasn't being able to follow along in the classroom. When her instructor talked to her about the special interest project, the only thing she could think of was, I like my clock. Her instructor went out, bought a cheap clock from Walmart, and over the course of the next couple months turned this special interest project into a whole lot more than just a clock. They started out by studying the clock and drawing it. Next, they started to take it apart, and in doing so, learned to use tools. As they took it apart, they documented everything. How it worked, how it came apart, where the parts went, and in doing so, she learned writing. Amidst all this, the biggest thing that she learned was how to work with others, because she worked with her instructor. And it wasn't the fact that they worked bad together, but it was that in focusing on one thing that she found interest in, it was easier for her to work with others. And after this, it was easier for her to work with others outside of this special interest project. So if we find something of a special interest and something like that, it's easier to focus their attention on it and allow them to learn in maybe an unconventional way. Okay, running across the two things, positive narrative is something that not only the professional world is using, but it is also an area where each one of you can also help. And then also the special interest project is something that maybe you can help with, but not always. It's generally just a professional subject, but it's also something that when you see somebody with this, you can always help out with it. If we use these methods, we can turn these people that struggle into what Stuart Loomis calls a super brain, and which is, to explain that, 80% of all scientists who do anything in this world, it's actually a fact from the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, that 80% of scientists have ADD, people like Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, and Henry Ford. So if we can help, we can make those people come alive.